now that we've gone there, we're in Northern Ireland, which if you've got a picture of the island at Bushmills, you're up at the top right-hand corner in County Antrim. And if you go from there, you're physically very close to Scotland, like now 20, 30 miles to our other favourite island, Islay. But we'll just say off on the mainland. And in the mainland, I think this is a good time for us to jump across, going from all these triple distilled, very very refined flavours using the casks, and we'll go over to Auchentoshan, who for a long time was the only triple distilled Scottish whisky. So it's like the Scottish one were more like double distillation, and we'll go there. So which one do you want to do for that one?
All right, so I did crack the American, and this is the Auchentoshan American Oak.
Right on.
Aged in vanilla and coconut with clean citrus zest from first fill bourbon casks.
Do you get the citrus and the coconut? I love coconut.
I don't get coconut. I do get citrus, and
did you give me a sample of that, Chance?
I did.
Which bottle is it? It is bottle number 2. All right, let me join real quick, man.
Do it.
Yeah. Then I'll take these up. I'm gonna have the Auchentoshan Virgin Oak since it's American.
Yeah.
So I'm going the Virgin.
I have a Glen Virgin Oak, and I do not like that bottle of whiskey. It's the only one of my bottles that I will just say I do not like at all.
Yeah.
Which one? The Auchentoshan Virgin Oak?
The 15-year Virgin Oak. Or is it 10-year? I forget.
I'm getting chocolatey and orangey stuff. And I'm getting lots of vanilla in it. Let me taste it. We'll see. Batch number 2, but I think there. So you tell us about the American one, because your one's got to be like a little sweet bomb.
I'm surprised. I like it. I think it's got a ton of personality. I definitely detect a lot of wood flavors in this. A lot of lumber. It's got a spiciness to it that I'm really, really digging.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's an age statement, that one, is it?
No.
American. Is that a 10? Is that a...
No age statement.
Yeah. So it's probably like 6 or 7, 8, maybe.
And that's just first fill whiskey, right?
Yeah, just the first fill bourbon barrels.
Yeah, so you get full flavor coming through.
That wood that you're talking about, and then the spice, they come together and almost remind me of cedar.
Yeah, actually can see that sort of like closets or trunks or.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the coconut at all, but
I'm glad that they think there's coconut, but let me just tell them.
Yeah, we got to get them on the horn and set them straight.
Auchentoshan. Hey, do we all just try the classic 12-year-old? I think we've built... Now, of note, for anybody interested, is we know that Ryan's experience of a 12-year-old is not his favourite experience. So considering that when Ryan first did the whiskey tour with me, he probably had a 12-year-old at the time. He was very polite, and I don't think that he said anything about the fact that he probably doesn't enjoy it. Now, so we'll all do the 12-year-old since we've all got that glass.
I like that idea. I also am interested to see, not to keep harping on this, but since Ryan's not a huge fan of the Auchentoshan 12, it's not his favorite expression. After going through the Irish, which are so much more subtle, I'm wondering if we get different notes out of it because we've been putting our palate through some more subtle.
I mean, we give it a shot.
Yeah, and Ryan, that's actually been part of the sneaky experiment here. Can we slowly build up your palate with refined ones before? They're all triple distilled. Bring you across to a barley whiskey that's triple distilled in Auchentoshan, just outside Glasgow. And can we convince you now? They're using, like, now the 12-year-old using just a bourbon casks. And actually, a little good factoid here, a lot of the bourbon casks from the Auchentoshan are actually coming from Woodford Reserve, which I know Ryan does like Woodford Reserve.
My fave, yeah.
Yeah.
So it so happens that Chance was kind enough to give me some Auchentoshan 12.
Good. That one.
So while we're on the subject, just pour a little. Now, I did say I did like that Auchentoshan American Oak. I did like it.
Right.
I got a nice. It was like chewing on wood. It was nice. I liked the woodiness that it had. I didn't get the coconut, mind you, but
give Gary, can you show me the label of your Auchentoshan? I'm wondering if you and your Auchentoshan 12 and my Auchentoshan 12 are the same.
What do you mean?
Well, so mine's not just bourbon; it's Oloroso sherry as well, isn't yours?
My one is Oloroso and bourbon cask. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was wondering if there was a different bottling.
Getting this huge amount of sherry on the nose, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but Chance, shh. I didn't want to tell Ryan too much about it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because remember we're trying to convince him he likes Auchentoshan.
That's my mistake.
Yeah, we're building this up. There's a time of the day for it.
Yeah, morning, lunch, dinner, evening.
It feels like there's an underlying spiciness to this, even though it is also triply distilled, that is lacking in the Irish whiskeys, and I don't know why that is. In fact, I'm getting a ton more sherry on the nose than I'm getting on the palate or the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the nose. I love the nose of this.
So we've been sneaky with you. It's finished in it. Now the interesting one is the Auchentoshan ABV is usually about 40% as well. Right, let me check. Yes.
43% on the 3-wood.
Yes, so it's a different one on the 3-wood. They've lifted up a little bit. Auchentoshan in general they tend towards the lower ABV bottling.
It feels like the underlying spirit has a touch more complexity than the Irish whiskeys. The Irish whiskeys, I feel, are dominated more by the casking. That's kind of, I felt, the theme of tasting those Irish whiskeys.
Yeah.
With the exception of Kinnahan's, which was just a very pleasant,
triple distilled wit. Now the Kinnahan's is probably closer to the classic Irish whiskies. So it's only been of late that everybody's experimenting with all the casks.
There's just, like I said, there is a spiciness to this Auchentoshan that I'm enjoying in comparison to the Kinnahan's. So what I want to think is that, with respect to comparison, maybe the Kinnahan's is a good Irish comparison to this Auchentoshan 12.
From a Scottish one, yeah, because definitely in this Auchentoshan 12, it's if you're getting introduced to Scottish whiskey, we're going to introduce you with an Auchentoshan.
Yeah.
That's the one I tend to use.
So which is really interesting when you think about it. We've come from such light, subtle, beautiful Irish notes. We're jumping across to Scotland to what we'll call is like the lightest Scottish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That very light flavour notes there. Now, this one's been indulged with having, so there's actually a lighter, so it's the Auchentoshan that they do with just the bourbon cask. This is straight, the bourbon cask across. They've done it Oloroso in this one, but it used to be years before the 12-year-old was just all bourbon. It was a pure bourbon distillery.
I mean, so comparing these two nose for nose, we have the Kinnahan's and we've got the Auchentoshan on my right, your left.
Yeah.
And the Auchentoshan is far spicier, and I'm wondering why exactly that is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually with the spice it.
And this, I just get this overwhelming lightness from the Kinnahan's. Not overwhelming lightness is a contradiction in terms, but the sort of like the principle.
Oh yeah, even do the rub in this one. Do the rub in that one. It's
on the 12.
Yeah. Oh, it's come. Oh, I feel as though I'm back home in Scotland now. We've left those filet mignons over in Ireland.
That's very pleasant. That's a very pleasant smell.
Isn't it? It's not disagreeable, which is excellent. To hear you say it's pleasant is really good.
Yeah.
I know we're on an upward battle with you. Until I can get another bottle of the Blood Oak with you, I think the Blood Oak will convince you will like it. I need to find a bottle for you.
God, I've been looking for it. I want it so bad.
I found out why. It's they only sold it for travel. I must have got it in Heathrow. That was back through Heathrow.
Duty free only.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Auchentoshan. We're back on to the mainland of Scotland.
Okay, it's fine. It's good.
It's fine. Okay, so Ryan, we've kind of we're sneakily done this one, building up your palate with the Irish. Lots of good flavours in the Irish one. The Irish ones are great. We need to come back to Ireland. Actually, I think we have to build out a more deeper range of the Irish ones.
Kinnahan's and the Auchentoshan are not dissimilar. They both have. They're both very light in character, but the Auchentoshan is more complex and spicier.
Yeah.
Whereas in terms of the Kinnahan's is just so smooth. It's like super smooth, and um, as much as I like to like kind of turn my nose up and be like, these guys just buy whiskey and bottle it. It's just like, well, the whiskey they chose.
We don't. Wait a minute. We don't imagine. Wait a minute. So imagine that name was saying something like um, Chance Ryan Gary Distillery. We happen to choose a cask. I don't think we'd turn my nose up at it. So these guys, like anybody that's doing things with whiskey, is all good stuff. So it's good.
All right, I've decided if we ever open a distillery together, we're going to call it the Rygarants Distillery.
Yeah, something like that. You're a marketing manager. You can work on that one.
Yeah, the Rygarants.
Glen Kinchie.
Yeah.
Glen, yeah.
So for our final one, so we're on the mainland. We've done like the triple distilled, and one it was kind of like this was like a walk of the lower lowlands over to Ireland and then back up to the lowlands with Auchentoshan. And the only other popular one is like the Glen Kinchie. So I think we like moved to Glen Kinchie, and I don't think Ryan, it's not one you drink on a regular basis. Or...
I've never had this whiskey before, and this is
Okay.
bottle number 1. I've never had Glen Kinchie before.
So Glen Kinchie, just a bit of the background of it, because now it's one of my favourite lowlands. There's not that many of them to have, but the one about the Glen Kinchie and why I use this as an alternative to introduce people to the lowlands. But the Glen Kinchie's got a lot more pepper on it, and it's over. So Auchentoshan's over towards Glasgow, just outside Glasgow way, so very closer to Ireland, since we're just jumping from Ireland over to Glasgow on the west coast of Scotland. But if we jump over the east coast of Scotland, you come to Edinburgh, obviously the capital, and just outside of it is a town called Haddington, and beside that is where Glen Kinchie is. So that's where the distillery of Glen Kinchie is. Now, I'm going to start with you guys. We're going to do like a 10-year-old Glen Kinchie. I think that's the one you guys have, which is just great to have that, like the expression of the distillery as it is.
12.
The 12.
Oh, you get the 12, good. Well, I've got an older bottle than you. I've got the 10-year-old. So I've got the same as you. Now I've got an old bottle. So this bottle's probably, I don't know, it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like we've
like
got
the different. Yeah, you've got the modern label. Mine was a little bit older than your label. On that. And they're ready, so it's going to be interesting. So on the nose, it'll be interesting, Ryan, what you're going to get here. Now, Glen Kinchie, if I describe the land around it, the lowlands, it's very much like the Auchentoshan. The lowlands are like, as it just sounds like, it's more rolling, like hills, flat hills in the southern part of Scotland. And when you're getting Kinchie, that it's very much farmland around. You guys see like now fields and fields of barley, but you're not that far from the coast. So you're only about 10 miles from the coast. But you got fields and fields of barley. You got lots of now green pastures and things like that. So now a lot more sunshine on the east side of Scotland compared to the west side. The west side gets more rain. The west side gets a little bit less. Now, comparative in Scotland. Now, compared to like over here in the States, they get a lot of rain because all of Scotland does. That's why the country's so green. But if you have this one, the young 10-year-old, or you've got the 12-year-old on the nose, like that. So you should be. I want to put some flavour notes in your head. I'm thinking like now. Think of it. If they've just cut the hay, they're cutting down like the everything for the the winter feed for the cows. They're cutting it down. You got to get some of that. And you've got to get some even grassy notes in there compared to so Ryan with this one. Interesting, Ryan. Since you're like coming straight at this one, what's your thoughts on the Glen Kinchie on the nose?
It's just very. I hesitate to say bright, but vegetal would be my word.
Yeah. No, this is good descriptions of that.
It's not bright like the yellow spot is bright.
Yeah, it's a different type of bright.
Alcoholic, sweet, like very in your face. This is kind of a mellow brightness. You know what I mean? Instead of like color wise, this feels like pastels more than this is sort of like primary basic colors, like yellow, orange.
Yeah.
This is like pastels, like pink and.
Yeah. Try some on your tongue now. Try a little bit. So I mean, it's a lowland, so the general characteristics of lowlands that we describe. So it's double distilled, so it's not quite as refined as Irish. That little bit of flavour.
Oh, there's a very specific flavor.
If you like nearly one where you like blow it and you pull it through your tongue with a little bit of air with it, pull some air over the top. This one, what I usually get, it's a little bit, you could say heat, but a little bit of like pepper. This is where like I'll say like there's a little bit of warmth compared to the Auchentoshan. You're not kind of getting that same warmth coming across the top. There's other flavours, which I was thinking, Ryan, you might like this as your lowland starter.
I do like it.
There's character to it.
It's odd how I would use the term delicate to describe these flavors, whereas again, like the triply distilled Kinahans or the triply distilled Yellow Spot, like they're not delicate whiskeys. This tastes like the flavors are more tentative.
Yeah.
Like these flavors are very cohesive and bright, and they're
young as well. Very
right.
Young. You're talking young whiskeys with brightness. Well, saying that you have some older ones in the Yellow Spot.
These flavors are more delicate and tentative, I think, and this is very cool to experience.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I really enjoy this.
Yeah, I love this doing that we've kind of built from an Irish up, and we're using the bottom end of the Scottish range when it comes to flavour profiles.
Yeah.
But there's a roughness to it on the back of my tongue. It's coarse.
Yeah, that double distilled.
That's the doubly distilling, right? Is the coarse that I'm feeling on the back of my tongue, the kind of raw, but the overlying flavors I feel are more bright, and not bright, but delicate and tentative, muted almost.
Yeah.
It's muted, and there's a sort of bite to it on the sides of my tongue.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. You can feel it in your tongue. There's a little bit. For me, that's what I'm saying. Light pepper or something that's there. Something like. But welcome to Scotland. Now we're in Scotland. Double distilled. It's a lowland double distilled, and you can see why we use Auchentoshan. That triple a little bit more.
So is this bourbon casks only, or?
Yeah, it's a bourbon cask. The Glen Kinchi is a bourbon cask one, and the thing about the Glen Kinchi, it used to be is Diageo. So when Diageo were doing like the original big ones, Glen Kinchi was always one of the ones they would always introduce to the lowland. And they were doing that because Auchentoshan was owned by Suntory.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to really talk about the commercial side of everything, but the Glen Kinchi was part of that Diageo kind of like roll up, and from there. So I always like it. It's that alternative start. If you're thinking Auchentoshan triple, it's too fine to start. Glen Kinchi is always a good alternative if you feel you want to step up a little bit before you jump into the Highlands.
Because that's just the essence of the barley essence, I guess, is that sharp, that kind of coarseness that's on the tongue, right? And that's what you lose when you get, because this is Kinahan's 10, and what you have there is a Glen Kinchi 10, which is this one's triply distilled, that one's doubly distilled, but they're both aged in ex-bourbon casks, I assume, right? And then this one is just so smooth and bright and inoffensive, right? To me.
From you is a good compliment. Say it's inoffensive.
I mean, I love this Glen Kinchi. I love the earthiness to it.
Yeah.
And then, so don't get me wrong. When I'm doing a beginner's tasting and I'm introducing people, I use the Auchentoshan 12 a lot because it's sweet and smooth. And
I do too.
And it works really well. And the sweetness I find helps people be like, oh, whiskey doesn't always have to be terrible. It doesn't always have to hurt to drink it. And so, but I really like the complexity that this Glen Kinchi 12 carries.
It is super complex. It is super complex. It feels like it's kind of, this is the essence of what whiskey distilling is, because you're not burying these flavors underneath the casks and stuff. This kind of like, that's what whiskey tastes like, and that's a traditional expression of whiskey, right?
So I'm treating myself to this. So
you should definitely.
If you guys were beside me, you'd have like a little sample of it, because now what I'm doing is, interestingly enough, what happens when you're doing 24 years in the cask?
So
you're starting to get more wood on this already light lowland flavour. So If anything, so oh wow, the nose on this one is excellent, and when we're together, yes, you will be tasting this, but you know, like that having like the more time in the wood, so the wood is doing more effect to it. Yeah, I'm getting this more wood than anything else. I'm having this 24-year-old after all the tastings we've just done there, the delicacy. Oh, but that Glen Kinchie, yours 12-year-old, delicious. You get a lot of good. This one, the 24-year-old, is like totally smoothed it back down, so I feel as though I'm going back to Ireland a little bit. Nice. Except I've got the punchiness of a double distilled, not a triple distilled. Yeah.
Okay.
We need to. We'll have a taste this one together. I think we'll have some discussions about this one.
I did have a couple of things I wanted to ask about. Right. First, before we call it quits on our tastings and stuff, I dropped off Jane Walker with Ryan, and I thought it might be fun for the three of us to try Jane Walker together.
Yeah, that would work. That's a lovely way to finish. I wish you'd said that one. Yeah, let's do Jane Walker to finish.
Yeah.
All hail to the ladies. Hold on to find it.
I like that. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really like this bottle, but I love. I mean, maybe I don't know. I love what it stands for. I love the call out to women in whiskey and that, and it makes me really, really happy as a human being.
It's got darker over here, so I've just put the light on. Finish on a light note.
I like it.
I'm not in witness protection anymore.
Yeah, you look like you're about to be abducted by aliens, like beamed up.
Yeah.
So tell us about this Jane Walker. What is this all about? What's the pitch here? What's it all about?
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Here's the bottle.
Yeah.
That Jane Walker. It was in celebration because in celebration of the Year of Women, and Jane Walker. Obviously, they're playing with it marketing-wise, from Johnny Walker to Jane Walker. Was actually distilled by Emma Walker, the great granddaughter of Johnny Walker, who had buying the barrels and put them together. And so she was the one that did this blend of this one. Now, a little bit of controversy because they were saying they took the Johnny Walker Black and just relabeled it. But Emma Walker did actually mix the blends that were doing this, so they had to actually reissue it a little bit. So you've got the black on the label from that, and so it was more like the marketing side. And the nice one as well, you can't see the bottle, Ryan. Up at the bottom, you can see they've got it's the striding gentleman, it's the striding lady.
Yeah.
Big nod to the ladies and right. So anyways, let's talk about this as whiskey because it's a blend. You've got
easy drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Not as easy drinking as the Kennahan's 10. This is one of the easiest drinking whiskeys I ever had in my life. I love it.
And this is easy Scottish drinking.
Yeah, Scottish drinking. It's blended to be.
We're going to like double distilled whiskies and blended. So some grain whiskies in this as well, but it's some malts and it's just delicious.
Yeah, the grain whiskeys tend to be extremely light and.
Yeah, because of distillation. We'll talk about that another time. But
because of column.
So it was like Chance was the one bringing it up. We need to do that. We need to we'll do like a Walker range. I think we go for a walk and we can have Jane Walker in there amongst them.
I've got a bowl of Johnny Walker Green, which was not made anymore for a while.
So is yours from the pre-not made or the post-not made?
Pre,
very good.
Yeah, after I got it, they stopped making it, and it was the only Johnny Walker line that I think it was either the only or one of the only that had no grain alcohol in it, just malt in it.
Yeah, we've just basically taken the whiskies from the islands with the peated whiskey to build it up. But because I've got some pre as well, because I put a couple of bottles aside thinking this is the end of the green when they stopped it. And it was so popular they brought it back, so I was so bummed when they brought it back.
My dad's still got those unopened Scapa 16s, so...
Yeah, well, Scapa 16's a different thing. Well, that's a different story on that side, but that'll be good. I think we do a Johnny Walk, we do a blend walk.
Yeah.
That'd think it's a nod to the fact that these blends is where whiskey started.
That's
The
true.
single malt
is relatively recent in the history of whiskey. I've got a couple of really good blends that I like because I like Rob Roy's a lot, and Rob Roy is a Scotch-based cocktail. And I've got a couple I like that Monkey Shoulder probably is the best blend, but we can talk about that sometime. I've got a couple of bottles.
We'll do like a Scottish blend one. Yeah, because like that's the thing. That's the thing about it. We enjoy these ones. Anyway, so going back to Rob Roy. So what's the end name of Rob Roy?
The what?
What's his family name for Rob Roy?
Is it McAdam?
Is it?
No,
Is it
McGregor.
Oh,
McGregor.
Rob Roy McGregor. But what is my family clan of McAdam? Is McGregor.
Really?
So I'm a McGregor because the story is that the Rob Roy McGregors, the McGregors at the time, were fighting against the English who were trying to take over the land of the Scottish. Right? You've maybe seen the movie with Liam Neeson and that, stealing from the English, etc.
yeah.
And what they did was they put a price on the head of any McGregor. So if you basically caught them now that, so the McGregors thinking these stupid English people, let's change our name. So the McGregors became different families, and so Adam McGregor, who's the son of Rob Roy McGregor, he changed to McAdam, son of Adam, that son of Adam McGregor. And so my family part of it is the lineage is down through that one, through Adam McGregor. But we called ourselves McAdam, so that the English wouldn't catch us and hang us before there would be time to mess with them as they were trying to take over Scottish land. But anyway, a little bit of background story there. So I liked it with the Rob Roy. That's very good.
That's fantastic.
You know, it gets better. When you go to Scotland, Chance, you can actually go to Rob Roy McGregor's the cemetery where he's buried.
Really?
Yeah. These people aren't just Hollywood stories. They're real people in history. In Scotland, the history's so long that you can go and see them.
That's one of the things, I mean, not to quote Eddie Izzard, but I'm going to, that I love about that is, Europe, where the history comes from, is a place that I need to go. Like, so I want to see the grave of William Wallace, of Rob Roy, of Group Pierre, if I can get there in Denmark and such. And like, I'm fascinated by some of these figures that have taken over the silver screen over the years.
Seems like good.
Hey guys, here's to our one. Last year.
Well, that completes our trip through the Lowlands of Scotland. Please join us again next week as the gentlemen journey through the Scottish Highlands. And as always, please drink responsibly.